Well, I think it was my first touchdown that I scored. It was a punt return against the New York Giants, 67 yards.
That's what stands out for you as your biggest memory
My
for
first
the.
professional touchdown, yes. Jim Brown hadn't retired yet, so I had 2 years on the specialty teams, and I was returning punts with another great guy, Walter Roberts. Welcome to the NFL.
Hello again, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us on Club 46, driven by Bridgestone. So good to be with you again. I'm Jay Crawford. Each episode, we sit down with a current or former great Cleveland Brown to talk about their time in the NFL and memories that they have of playing for the Cleveland Browns. And I'm thrilled today to be joined by former Cleveland Brown running back great and Hall of Famer Leroy Kelly. Leroy, it is great to see you. How are you?
Not too bad, Jay.
It's a great pleasure for me to get an opportunity to sit down and speak with you because although I was too young and not yet alive to see Jim Brown, my first favorite football player was Leroy Kelly. And I have vivid memories as a kid of watching you slash and dash your way through NFL defenses. And it's just a great honor for me to have an opportunity now to sit down and talk with you. And we're going to talk about everything, your childhood, your college years, your professional years, and your after NFL years. But I want to start, as I do each week, by asking you, when you think back on your many great memories as a Cleveland Brown, is there one that stands out more than all the rest?
Well, I think it was my first touchdown that I scored. It was a punt return against the New York Giants, 67 yards.
That's what stands out for you as your biggest memory?
My first professional touchdown, yes. I was on the specialty team, so, Jim Brown hadn't retired yet, so I had 2 years on the specialty teams, and I was returning punts with another great guy, Walter Roberts, who was about my partner back there returning punts. So,
Leroy, when you finally made it to the end zone, what was going through your mind in that moment? Do you remember?
I knew I slammed the ball down for some reason. I can't remember why I did that, but I guess it was, hey, I can score touchdowns too, I guess, in my mind, so I just slammed the ball down, and I was very happy that I did score.
Was that, Leroy, your sort of welcome to the NFL moment where
I
you realized?
I definitely think it was. Welcome to the NFL.
Yeah, what a great feeling. You would find that feeling many more times. I want to talk more about your career with the Cleveland Browns, and we'll come back to that. But I think an appropriate place to begin is at the beginning. And if you would, take us back to what it was like being a young Leroy Kelly in Philadelphia. What was growing up like for you there?
I didn't play any football as a young kid, just two-hand touch with the older guys. And I lived right down the street from a park. So we had a big facility to have good touch football games down there, So we usually played the older guys. So it was the young against the older guys. So I learned a lot about football just playing two-hand touch. I didn't play properly. Warner League football as a small kid. My first organized football was in high school.
Do you remember how you were introduced to football?
Well, just as I said, my first organized football was in high school. Some of the older guys was playing. I decided I wanted to play, and I started playing JV. I was on the JV team my first year in high school. Then I went up to the varsity squad my second year.
Tell me a little bit about your family life. I know the family was so athletically gifted. Did you find that you were drawn more to baseball or football, or did you have a favorite as a young guy, even in high school when you were playing both?
No, I really didn't have a favorite. I even tried to play a little basketball, but that wasn't my sport. So I stuck to football. I got a scholarship to Morgan State University and in football. So that's what made me choose football. And I played with the scholarship at Morgan State.
Was Pat much better than you in baseball? Do you think that had you chosen baseball, you could have made a professional career out of baseball?
Well, I did go for a tryout with the Phillies, and I played shortstop in high school. Then I had another tryout with them, but I didn't go. So I had decided I had this scholarship in football at Morgan State, so I decided at that time to stick to football.
When you were going through high school, at what point, Leroy, did you realize I'm pretty good at this and I can, if nothing else, get a free education and maybe one day even make a professional career at this? When did you realize that?
Well, the main thing was getting a scholarship where was my parents really couldn't afford for me to go to college professionally. I mean, to a college was I was grateful to have a scholarship to go to Morgan State. And when I got there, after playing several years, I felt that I had a chance to play professionally. And then when I got drafted by the Cleveland Browns, that was it. I said, well, now all I have to do is make the team.
How would you characterize your time at Morgan State?
Oh, it was great. I was a quarterback in high school, but when I got down there, Coach Earl Banks transferred me to a running back. So, we had two fine sophomore quarterbacks down there.
What was your greatest memory while playing at Morgan State?
Well, we won. It took us about a year before we got our team to really play tremendously, on the football field. We won my last 2 years, we won the CIAA championship.
When you were wrapping up your career at Morgan State and looking ahead to the NFL, it was such a different time then. Now the pre-draft season gets so much attention. What was your experience like when you finished playing at Morgan State and you were getting ready for the NFL draft? Did you have any idea how that whole thing would play out? Where you might end up?
Well, not really. I started receiving some questionnaires from teams in the American League Football League, and I started receiving some questionnaires. So I said, well, I have a chance to get drafted, but I didn't get drafted by anyone in the American Football League. And then I was surprised when I found out I was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 8th round.
Today, there's only 7 rounds, and you wouldn't have even had an opportunity to be drafted in the NFL, yet you go on to have this Hall of Fame career. Tell me about your first introduction with the Cleveland Browns. What was it like? What do you remember about the introduction?
We had a workout. After I got drafted, before the season started, before the camp opened up that year. It was in May, and they invited several of the rookies to a weekend camp. And actually, I played defense both ways in college. Played cornerback and running back. And I thought that I was going to be a defensive back. After the camp, Coach Blanton Collier came up to me and said, well, look, I want you to go back to school and put some weight on because we're going to use you as a running back. That's when I found out I was going to be a running back in the pros.
So I'm wondering what's going through your mind, because at the time, Jim Brown was firmly established as one of the best, if not the best backs in the NFL. And now you're going to play the same position on the same team as Jim Brown. What was that like for you?
Well, I tell you, it was nice to know that I was going to be up there with Jim Brown, running back, because he was. That's what we watched on Sunday, just to see Jim Brown play. He was a great running back. and I felt that I was honored to be on the same team with him.
How did he treat you, being, this superstar running back, and now here comes a rookie who is going to play the same position? Do you remember how Jim treated you and how he was towards you?
Yeah, well, he was very nice, cordial, very nice, and to most of the rookies, that was it on offense, that he spent some time with.
What a rookie season it was. 1964. What do you most remember about that season?
Championship. 1964 championship. It was great to be a rookie on a championship team.
One of the things that stands out to me about your career was it came on the heels of Jim Brown's retirement. And when he retired, it caught some off guard. And I think a lot of folks were concerned with the condition of the running game. You had these huge shoes to fill, yet you stepped in and just continued the dominance at that position. What was it like filling the shoes of the great Jim Brown?
Well, I was fortunate and glad that I had the opportunity because, the offensive line was still there. Jim was gone, but the offensive line was still there. We had guys like Dick Shaffrath, Gene Hickinson, who made it to the Hall of Fame a few years back. Just great offensive linemen we had that was still could be there. That's what definitely helped me out.
Did you have a little nerves knowing that you were going to be taking over for Jim Brown? What was that like?
Blanton told me the situation when we reported to camp that year. He said I had an opportunity to fill in take Jim Brown place. Nobody's going to take Jim Brown place, but I was glad that I was a running back was there at the time, fill in.
I remember interviewing Jim last year, and I asked him which running back he watched other than himself that he looked at and said, that's a great running back. And the first name he mentioned was yours.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you for feeling that way. But it was a team thing. We still had the great offensive linemen there, still there.
You mentioned the return for a touchdown was one of your favorite moments in the NFL. All ups feel great because you know the depths of the valleys. Did you have a moment, Leroy, in the NFL that stands out as your lowest point in the league?
I retired. Actually, I didn't retire, but I was put on waivers, and Oakland Raiders had picked me up, and I went out there during the strike year in 70, 73, 74. I was honoring the strike, so I didn't go out there until it was over. The strike was over.
Right.
That only gave me like a couple of weeks to try to make the team. And I think Al would have wanted to keep me on the practice team, but I didn't want to do that. So I went back home to Philly, and I got a call from Chicago in the World Football League, Chicago Fire. And I went up there and played a few games up there, and then ended my career up there.
What was that like, Leroy, coming to the realization that you were done as a football player? It's what you had known for the last 12 years or so, really.
Yeah, I think it's hard for a professional athlete to really come to that point, retirement. It was that time, after I was the Chicago Fire played. I played like 4 or 5 games, and they folded because they ran out of money. That's what they said, and that's when I knew it was all over then. But I did come back and I coached a little bit with the Philadelphia Bell. Woody Wood was the coach and Herb Alley, who we both from Philadelphia.
Right.
I knew her before we started playing professional football, so we kind of grew up not too far away from each other.
What do you most remember about the Cleveland Browns fans?
Oh, they were great. They were great. They're still great. I still get a lot of fan mail,
No kidding.
photograph. Oh yeah, I got a bunch back there now on my tip. I have it signed.
What was it like for you when you got the call that you would be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio?
It was great, man. It took them a long time. You know, I thought I deserved it a little sooner, but it was great. It was just great.
What do you remember about that induction day?
Well, that whole week was just something else, to soak in, to get your jacket, to go to the dinner. The whole family's in town. It's unbelievable.
What does it mean to you, Leroy, to be a part of one of the most exclusive clubs in all of sports?
Well, you can't get cut. That's one thing. You can't get cut. You're in for good.
What is life like for you today, Leroy?
It's nice. I'm just taking it easy. I'm retired, basically. I still do some card shows. Occasionally, that's my traveling. But other than that, I'm just sit back, taking it easy.
Well, you look great. It was wonderful to finally meet you. And I know I speak on behalf of Cleveland Browns fans everywhere when I say thank you for so many great memories and so much dedication to the city of Cleveland during your years here. You've always represented Cleveland in the best possible way. You made the city very proud of you. And thank you for joining us on Club 46. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
The great Leroy Kelly. Thank you again. And thank you to all of our viewers for watching Club 46, driven by Bridgestone. We hope you join us next time when we sit down with another all-time great Cleveland Brown. Until then, I'm Jay Crawford. We'll see you soon.